When it's springtime and they start harvesting the rhubarb, most of us think about a strawberry rhubarb pie or a rhubarb crisp. But one of my favorite desserts to do with rhubarb is a rhubarb upside down cake. But sometimes when you cook the rhubarb, it loses a little bit of its color. So I'm going to fortify this with Jamaica. Now, mostly we know Jamaica as this crimson colored beverage, like a soft drink that they make in Mexico, and it's so beautifully red. It's also tangy, so it's going to give its own flavor to that. So we're going to make a rhubarb syrup, if you will, starting off with a half a cup of water. Put that into a small saucepan here and measure in an equal amount of sugar. That would be a half a cup of sugar. I'm going to turn the fire on underneath to about a medium. Start swirling that around to dissolve the sugar. And then these are the dried Jamaica flowers. You can find them, well, at a lot of grocery stores, but certainly all the Mexican grocery stores. And I'm going to add those to it. When this comes to a simmer, I'll just swirl the pan around, let it simmer gently for about 10 minutes, and then strain out the Jamaica flowers. Now we're on to making the sour cream cake batter. Measure some flour into a bowl. Add some baking soda, a bit of baking powder, and salt. All of that will be whisked together just to distribute all of the dry ingredients evenly together. And now we're on to the mixer. Half of the butter goes into the mixer and it gets creamed with some sugar. In goes an egg, sour cream, milk, and a dash of vanilla. And lastly, those dry ingredients, added in 3 additions, making sure that they're all blended in before you add the next addition. Now it's time for the rhubarb. I'm going to put a non-stick skillet, this is a 10-inch skillet, over medium heat. And I'm going to measure in the second half of the butter. To that, I'm going to add some brown sugar. I like to use the dark brown sugar for this particular preparation. That goes into the pan there. While that's melting together, it's time for the rhubarb. I need about 1.5 cups of it, and I want to cut it into about 1/2-inch pieces before I add it to the pan. The smell of the brown sugar with the butter is super delicious. The rhubarb will go into that same skillet. And I'll add a little bit of this Jamaica syrup to reinforce that beautiful color. Once this comes to a simmer, we're going to let it cook for about 5 minutes until the rhubarb is softening. Turn off the heat underneath the fruit mixture. Then I'm going to scrape this sour cream cake batter in over the hot rhubarb mixture, spreading it out to the edges. Then we're going to slide this skillet into a 350-degree oven. It'll take 25 to 30 minutes for it to cook until it's springy right in the center. That's when you'll know it's done. Bring it out, let it sit for 10 minutes to cool, and then it's time to flip it out. You still want the cake to be a little bit warm when you unmold it. Of course, this is the nerve-wracking moment. I'm going to just hold it very firmly as I flip this whole thing upside down. Just like it's, oh, look at that. That makes me really happy. How beautiful is that? You see how that Jamaica syrup really gives the rhubarb a beautiful red color. This is going to be a great dessert. Now for the skillet cake, I poured some sweet and sour cream over the top and then sprinkled it all with powdered sugar.